Hi everyone, it's Joni again. Today I decided that instead of my usual take on just basically my experiences and what's happening to me, what I would do is make a video that was an educational video because I realized that there was a lack of education in the bariatric community, bariatric being weight loss community. Because I noticed in some bariatric support groups that I'm in on Facebook, a lot of people had questions that their physician should have answered and they should have, written information on. My doctor provided this book. They wrote together with their team, with the nutritionist and everything. You can see I have some pages flagged in here. I'm going to read from some of these pages so it won't look the greatest. I don't have any handy dandy ways of editing YouTube videos yet. I'm going to learn. I just don't know how to make little lists pop up yet. So I hand wrote some things out. And so here's what I'm going to go over today. It may be a long video, but it's probably the most important video I've ever made. I'm going to go over the protein, fluid, and vitamin requirements that you will have for the rest of your life as a gastric bypass patient. Some of these also apply, actually they basically all apply to gastric sleeve patients as well. The do's and don'ts with certain medications, what dumping syndrome is, and how to avoid it. Tips on how to prevent hair loss, and rules to live by. So that's what I'm going to go through, and I'm going to try, hopefully this will agree with me. First thing is protein. The minimum requirements for protein are 60 grams a day for women and 75 grams a day for men. Now you have to bear in mind these are the minimum requirements. Exceeding these can only help you, and it's a protein first situation. You may love salad and believe that it's really great for you, but you need to have protein first. Try some chicken on that salad or just a little side salad, and I do mean a little, just a few bites, once you've got your protein in. So that's all for the protein. Your fluids. Your fluids should consist of 48 to 64 ounces a day minimum. Okay, that's your minimum. Now, the good news is your nutrition shakes, certain liquid soups, Jell-O, popsicles, all count towards your goal. So, those are important things to know. Now, these are important things to avoid if you don't want dumping syndrome, and they're important to avoid to be successful with your weight loss. So, you have to avoid sugar for the rest of your life. Sugar includes white granulated sugar, Splenda blend, which is half sugar and half Splenda. Now, Splenda is okay, but Splenda blend is not. Light and dark brown sugar, corn syrup, honey, maple syrup, molasses, and raw sugar. All sugars. Also, in the sugar category are sorghum and turbinado sugar. I'll be real honest, I have no idea what that is or if I pronounced it correctly. But those are different types of sugar. There are other sugars that are just go by a different name, and those include sucrose, dextrose, fructose, glucose, maltose, levulose. Now, I will tell you, it is important to know if you have dextrose via an IV, it's okay. That will not affect you the same way that dextrose in the stomach will. So, you also cannot have, this is what's important to know, that you're not allowed to have any added sugar. You need to read the ingredients of everything, not just the nutrition facts. Now, added sugar is going to be listed under the ingredients. That should be listed below, usually, the nutrition facts, which tells you how many grams of something is in it. Say 6 grams of sugar, for instance, in the Steamer's corn that I get, that I eat literally 2 kernels at a time. So natural sugar is okay. It doesn't have any sugar or sugar alcohols, which I'm about to go over in a minute what those are, in the ingredients. So it's just a natural sugar and it's okay. Now, you're allowed to have natural sugars to an extent. I don't know what the proper threshold is, but I can tell you this. It is somewhere above 8 grams of sugar, natural sugar, that comes in the food, like corn or a pear or something like that, and somewhere below 28. And I know this because that is the amount at which I dumped. So, on with what the sugar alcohols are. You're not allowed to have any sugar alcohols. They advertise these things as sugar-free, but they're not. Some examples include isomalt and anything ending in TOL, tol. Those things are mannitol, sorbitol, xylitol, lactitol, and anything else that ends in tol. So you have to be mindful of those things. If you don't, you will have dumping syndrome. I'll go over what that is before this is over. What sweeteners are you allowed to have? Well, these are what are recommended. Aspartame, which is equal or NutraSweet. Those are the blue packs if you're out at a restaurant. And I know that there's some controversy over aspartame, but I'll let you make those decisions for yourself. Saccharin, which is sweet and low, those are the blue packs. I mean, not blue. Those are the pink packs if you're out at a restaurant. Sucralose, that RA is very important. That means Splenda. Now, don't confuse that with sucrose, which is a sugar. Stevia. Stevia is okay to have, but no Truvia. It contains stevia and sugar alcohols, which are not good. Now, a little bit more to talk about. Dumping syndrome. What is it? It is miserable and painful. I personally experienced it, and you can have early and late dumping syndrome. Early dumping syndrome can start like 10 to 30 minutes after you eat, and late dumping syndrome can be many hours later. And what early dumping syndrome, well, dumping syndrome in general, what it does to you is usually it's a sugar, but some people have found other foods do it to them. But usually sugar is involved. And basically the sugar kind of hits your system and sucks like a lot of the water from your body into the digestive tract very rapidly. And you may have seen another video where I talked about dumping, but basically what happens is, or what it felt like to me was, I had multiple bowel movements of everything that was ever in my stomach in any nook and cranny since birth. You will cramp, you will feel hot, you will have palpitations, you may feel dizzy, like you're going to pass out, like you're going to throw up. You may throw up. I didn't. But all of those things are possible. And I think there are even some more. I'm going to actually read from the dumping syndrome thing. But you don't want it. And how to avoid it is to avoid the sugar and the sugar alcohols. So, under dumping syndrome, it says, first thing is the definition. Dumping syndrome is a condition that is common after gastric bypass and sometimes after sleeve gastrectomy. So sometimes, and I saw this on the gastric bypass boards or the bariatric surgery support groups, yes, some sleevers report getting dumping syndrome. but it is largely preventable. So that's the key thing, largely preventable. Symptoms include diarrhea, abdominal cramping, cold sweats, and lightheadedness. It is primarily caused by eating or drinking food or fluids that have sugar, but may also be triggered by greasy foods. You're not ever supposed to have anything that is deep fried again. It may occur if you eat or drink too fast, or if you eat or drink too much or larger portions. Some patients get dumping syndrome if they eat foods high in fat. Sugar alcohols in food and fluids may also cause this condition. Avoid sugar alcohols, and fat, and follow portion control in your diet while slowing down and dedicating adequate time to eat your meals. Check your medications for sugar or sugar alcohols. That's really important. In a lot of liquid medications, there may be sugar or sugar alcohols, especially sugar alcohols. So you have to pay attention to that. Now, as a segue into medications, this is some important information. No non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, ever. I repeat this. No non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, ever. The reason is because it can cause irreparable damage to your stomach. I actually read an account of a woman recently in my bariatric surgery support group who was post-op, I think 3 or 4 months, far enough out that things were doing fine, maybe further than that. And she woke up one day and was taking her shower to go to work and had extreme pain and had to call 911. It was so bad. And what happened was she was on a medication that was a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory because she had some sort of a brain tumor, or I'm not exactly sure what it was, but something neurologically. And her neurosurgeon felt it was of benefit for her to have that. And so she was on that non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, and it caused her stomach to literally explode. Like it burst open and had to be repaired, and she had to basically start all over with new wounds, more healing to do, and also had to figure out what to do to prepare for or to prevent future problems with that neurological problem that she had. You want to go through all of your lists of medicines that you take, and that includes over-the-counter medicines. That means the stuff you can just buy in the store without a prescription, with your doctor before you have surgery. And anytime any other doctor prescribes you medication, you either need to ask your surgeon that did your surgery or the pharmacist. Make sure you ask the pharmacist and not the pharmacy tech. And they will answer any questions about any medication you have. You can call up a pharmacy that you are not even familiar with, ask for the pharmacist, and they will help you. They went to a great deal of school in order to go through this. So, examples of NSAIDs, and you're going to have to excuse me if I mutilate some of the names. Aspirin, ibuprofen, which is also Advil or Motrin. Naproxen, which is Aleve, Naproxen, Anaprox, and Naproline. Celebrex, Ketorolac, which was called Toradol. They don't make actual Toradol anymore, but that's there. Indomethacin, which is also called Indocin. Nabutamone, which is also called, or was called, Relafin. Oh Lord. My husband is trying to help me here. I'm going to need to look. Oxyprozin, Daypro, Piroxicam, which is Feldene. You'll notice some of these are common arthritis medications that people are on, especially older people. And you really have to look at these to figure out whether or not they're okay. The answer is these are not okay medications for you. That's not the full list. Here's some more examples of NSAIDs. Diclofenac, which is also called Cambia, Cataflam, Voltaren, Zipsor, or Zovrelex. Diflunisol, which is Dolabid. That used to be what name it was underneath of it. And it's not marketed under that name anymore. Etodolac. It used to be called Lodine, but they don't make that brand anymore. Ketoprofen, which was called Oridis. Salsalate, which was called Amagesic. Tolmetin, which was called Toltectin. And Solnadak, which was called Clinaril. Sorry that I butchered a lot of those names. You would definitely see. And once again, like I said, ask the pharmacist. And what you want to do is add these to your list of allergies with all your doctors and in the hospital. The reason for that is they will ask you, what does that medication do to you? You may forget years down the road when you're really sick that you had a gastric bypass. I know that sounds crazy, but it is possible. They will review your allergies and you tell them you cannot have any NSAIDs because those things can cause you to have stomach bleeding and problems with your stomach after surgery. Always discuss it with your surgeon. Try and ask a pharmacist. Now, after all the can'ts, let's go for what you can do. You can take acetaminophen, which is Tylenol. It's also listed under many other names, but one key word you'll see on almost all of them will be non-aspirin pain reliever. Now, there are many other prescription pain relievers that you can take. Anything that is a natural remedy or vitamin or herb must be approved by your surgeon, okay? That's important because some of them can have properties that can cause you problems. Now, here's a big one that people don't like. I see this question posted very many times, and then I see people saying, oh, the food police answered. No, it's not the food police. It's the it's the people that were properly informed by their surgeon. And this is no alcohol ever. The reasons are it has transfer addiction possibilities. I'll explain that in a minute. It's nothing but empty calories, and it may make you very sick. It may make you dump. Now, with alcohol, transfer addiction, basically, it's what it sounds like. You might have had the addiction to food, and your addiction may transfer to alcohol, and you may become an alcoholic. That is a very common thing. Look it up. That happens to gastric bypass or weight loss patients. After a gastric bypass, from what I understand, you can get drunk very fast on very little, and then it goes away very quickly. But you should not be doing it. I had my very last drink on my birthday last year, this year, before I had gastric bypass surgery. It might be something that you think you'll miss. It's something that your body doesn't need, and you should not put in it. Vitamins. For the rest of your life. This is very important. It's not just for the first year or for a little while you feel bad. This is for the rest of your life. So you have to make a commitment to that. Now, your vitamins can come from different places. You can buy expensive vitamins from different bariatric specific places. You can get cheap vitamins. I get mine at Walmart. There are vitamin patches and vitamin pills. There is no one patch that contains every single thing you need. There is no one pill that contains every single thing you need. The efficacy or the effectiveness of the patches is still being studied. So while they're approved for use, that's not by the FDA because they don't approve vitamins. They're cleared that it can be used. Doesn't mean it's necessarily effective. I will tell you that I've been very sick lately and have had a very hard time taking my pills orally. So to minimize the pills and to make sure I was able to get my vitamins in, or hopefully get them in, my friend Mindy, who I've talked about before, who had the vertical gastric sleeve, she gifted to me some of her vitamin patches, and I've been wearing them daily for about a week. I kind of feel like that there's some benefit because I'm not feeling really bad run down. So what vitamins are you supposed to have? Let me make sure this is in focus. Okay, vitamin B12, either 500 micrograms daily, and that's in a tablet that goes under your tongue. It's really small, it dissolves, and it even tastes good. Or 1,000 or higher micrograms per month in an injection. There is also a possibility of a nasal spray, but it's a prescription, and I personally am not into putting it up my nose. Also, you need a multivitamin daily, and for everybody, it should have iron, unless you're taking an iron supplement. Now, any women of childbearing age should be taking a separate iron supplement. You need to take calcium citrate. Some people pronounce it citrate. Not calcium carbonate. You need to take calcium citrate in 1,200 to 1,500 milligram daily divided doses. And it's best absorbed if taken with a meal. Or around a meal, because I know you're not really supposed to drink during a meal. It must contain vitamin D unless you're on a specific separate vitamin D supplement. My vitamin D is very low, and it has been for years. And so I'm on a prescribed amount of vitamin D because it's that low. So what else are you supposed to take? Well, the newest guidelines say that you should have selenium. It helps fight inflammation, and that's as of the new guidelines as of September 2017. 2 Brazil nuts daily should do it. It may be included in your multivitamin, depending on the multivitamin, or it may be in pill form over the counter. Now, something about vitamins. You can go and buy very expensive vitamins, or like I said, you can buy cheap vitamins. What matters is what's in them and the amount. My surgeon says it's perfectly acceptable to take 2 Flintstones complete daily. So that's what I do. Usually, right now I have the patches on. So, here's the no-no list. If you've had gastric bypass, you're not supposed to have anything with carbonation, no sugar or sugar alcohols, no caffeine, it irritates the lining of the stomach, no straws, no gum, and no fatty foods. No deep fried foods or fried foods anymore. So you can forget your fried chicken. There are a few companies that I know of that will give free samples if you contact them. Now, their first one is called Chike Nutrition. There is a telephone number. You have to call them. I can't remember what it is. Not get it by internet. You definitely have to call them. I think I had to call them to get the number. Muscle Milk will send you samples, and I believe Unjury will send you samples. One other thing about Unjury, they will send you, if it's a reasonable fee, a starter kit that'll have different shakes. It'll have a shaker in it and a thermometer. The reason for the thermometer is they make a protein chicken flavored broth. Now, Chicken flavored is important because it's actually not made with any chicken or chicken stock or anything like that. It is suitable for people who are vegan or vegetarian. This is a little bit of information that I found that I wanted to add because I think it's super important. You're supposed to avoid becoming pregnant for the first 18 to 24 months post-op. I know a lady who accidentally became pregnant when she was just several months post-op. I met her in a bariatric surgery support group that is held in person in my local area. And she's actually been a major inspiration to me because I thought I want to be like that. But what she told was a very sad story. She was not able to support her baby nutritionally. She had premature labor. Her baby was born so premature that it was unable to be saved. And so she now visits the baby that she really wanted at its grave. So it's very important that you don't get pregnant until it's recommended by your doctors. Your body cannot handle it. It's not stable nutritionally, and you have to make sure that you can support you and your baby to be safe. Here's the major important thing I read and found out. Birth control pills are not, I repeat, not recommended after gastric bypass due to potential problems with absorption. The use of a different method of contraception is required. And you need to know that weight loss can increase fertility. So when you lose weight, and I can attest to this, it happened to me in the past, long before bariatric surgery, you lose weight and you can become more fertile. So people who are told they have limited ability to have children due to PCOS or things like that and are losing weight for that reason, know that you can become fertile. But please be safe and wait a little longer so where your body can safely carry a baby and for you and your baby to be around to enjoy each other without complications. Now I'm just going to quick skim my book for a few bits of information that I have in here. Hair loss. The tip to avoid hair loss. 1, make sure you get all of your protein in daily. Hair loss is something that is expected with patients who've had gastric bypass. It's also expected with patients who've had gastric sleeve or any type of the surgeries. Make sure you get your minimum protein daily requirements met. Go over it. Take more if you can. Now, there is no protein pill. You're going to have to drink it or eat it. So you're going to have to work through that. The other thing is, and my doctor recommends this, is to take a supplement of biotin. I didn't make a little thing for that, but biotin, B-I-O-T-I-N, and they sell that in the vitamin and supplement section of Walmart or any pharmacy. Some vitamin supplements made for bariatric patients already contain this. Now, I can tell you, I know they can get high price, these vitamin supplements, different ones. I can tell you I can get more than a month's worth of vitamins for myself for under $20 at Walmart. That doesn't include protein shakes. I use ready to drink ones, which can be more expensive. And I think I'm about to give you correct information. If you're having difficulty digesting your protein supplements to begin with, things that say they have whey protein isolate, I believe, if I'm correct, you might want to Google this to make sure, are already partially digested. So your body will be able to digest and absorb it better. Another tip, they make fast-acting Tylenol. They also make it in the generic, which is acetaminophen. As a nurse, I can tell you, it's absolutely makes more sense to get the generic of acetaminophen. If you're pre-op and you're far enough pre-op that you're just thinking about it and you're not like about to have surgery within the next 2 to 1 to 2 weeks, just know that ibuprofen is the name for Advil and Motrin, and go ahead and just buy the ibuprofen. It's cheaper. It is the exact same medication. So that's all I have for today. I know this took a half an hour, but I just wanted to give you guys some very basic information and hopefully help some of you make your decision. Yes, there are things that I've had to give up, but already the weight loss that I've had, which is I know of at least 56 pounds, it may be more, in less than 12 weeks, I'll be 12 weeks tomorrow, has been worth it. I can move around better, and I've even been sick a lot since my surgery. I can move around better. I feel much better. I look better. So many improvements in my life in every area. I can't tell you. It's not just on the scales. My final tip to everybody, and I think this is important. I believe it's important. It's a personal choice that I've made to stay off the scales except when I'm at my doctor's office. I actually don't own a scale. At first, I was too big for a scale. My highest weight was 423. My pre-surgery weight was 412. I didn't have a scale because most scales wouldn't go up to big enough for me. And I haven't purchased a scale. If you're getting on the scale every day, it does not make sense. Your body will fluctuate based on your level of fluid and hydration, based on whether or not you've used the bathroom or not. And if you're looking at those pounds every single day, you're going to say, oh, I gained some, or I've hit a stall, when actually you haven't hit a stall. You're fine. You need to focus on getting your protein in, getting your fluids in, and getting your vitamins in, and trying to, when you are released, have safe and healthy exercise. So those are the things you should focus on. And if you're focusing on those things, I promise you the scale will move. It is inevitable. So my advice is stay off the scale, or at the very most, do not weigh yourself more than once a week. Put the scale away is my opinion. I was really excited to go to the doctor's once, had no idea how long. I'd been almost a month since I'd been there, and had no idea how much I weighed, and found out I lost 29 pounds, almost 30. It's more fun to find out it's that much. When you get down to where you're closer to your goal, or you're at your goal and you want to make sure that you stay there, I think it's perfectly acceptable to be pulling those scales out and checking your weight every week. Make sure that you adopt a healthy attitude towards your weight, okay? You can get addicted to getting on those scales. I know people who say they have. So that's my personal number one tip. Besides all the other medical and important information I've given you, I hope you take that to heart. If you think of anything else that you would like me to do a video on, of educational type things, leave it in the comments and I will be happy to try and do that for you. That's all. Have a great day.